Hello and welcome to the final part of the January 2021 Cal. Thank you so much for joining me, and if you've stayed this far, I really do appreciate it. So we're going to be working our border today. We need to have our work facing us. I'm going to attach my yarn where I've just finished off the last row from part 6. It is important to have your work facing you when you do this border. So attach your yarn then, and we're going to work a double crochet in each stitch along the row. So to do that, it's just insert your hook, grab your yarn, pull through, yarn over and pull through. So we're working a double crochet all the way along this row, and depending on how many stitches you had at the start, you will need, for your foundation chain, you'll need to have the same amount of stitches in this row, remembering of course that we are working into the chain stitches from the row below. Once you get to the end then, make sure to work into your last stitch. And then for this pattern we need to work an extra stitch to turn the corner, and we're then going to work down the side of our work. Now before I start with that, I just want to explain how that's going to work. You need to have a number that's divisible by 4. We know, dependent on what we started with our foundation chain, that it's divisible by 4. Be that 40, 80, 120, they're all divisible by 4. So we know that that row's fine. But with this one, we want to work a number that's divisible by 4. So I suggest for each section, you make sure that it's 4 that you're working. Be that 4, 8, 12. It's just a bit of maths. Just for each section of your blanket, working a number of stitches you can divide by 4. It's very, very important for the stitch pattern that we're going to work. So I'm just explaining here, I've got about an inch work there, and I know that I can fit 4 stitches into that inch quite easily. I'm using chunky yarn, so I can get away with that. It will take a bit of practice for those of you that are absolute beginners, but it's just a bit of maths. Just get your 4 times tables up on your phone so that you can work it out. And once you've got your set number for each section, you can just make sure that you've got those squeezed in. Okay, so you carry on working your 4 stitches, or your number that's divided by 4 stitches for each section. Once you get to the end of your side, you want to make sure obviously that you have the correct number of stitches. You want to add in your stitch to turn the corner, and you're then going to work into the foundation chain to get the bottom part of your border. So you're adding in your extra stitch at the start of the row, and then working a double crochet in each of the stitches of the foundation chain. Once again, because we know that the foundation chain was divisible by 4, it is just a case of working into each stitch across the row. I've just grabbed the loop that's loose, if you will, at the bottom of the work, as you can see here, and you're going to continue that across the row. Once you get to the other side then, I've got one more stitch to do. You do not want to work into your slip knot, as that will actually undo the knot and you will lose your work. So make sure not to work into that one. You then have your extra one to turn the corner, and then you're working your way down that edge again, making sure that the number you're working into each section is divisible by 4. Right, we've got to the other end then. We're just working our double crochet it to turn the corner. Be careful of your ends. I will drop a little tutorial in for those that aren't sure of how to sew in your ends. I wasn't doing this on this swatch. We're then going to slip stitch to the top of the double crochet, the first double crochet that we worked. So to do this, just insert your hook, grab your yarn, pull it through, and then pull it through the loop that's on your hook. And that is a slip stitch. Okay. We're then going to start the wavy shell pattern. So we're going to chain 3 to bring us up to the right height. We're then going to work a treble crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So it's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so that gives you the equivalent of 4 trebles. We're then going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You then want to slip stitch into the top of the chain 3. So if you're not sure, just count back your 1, 2, 3 stitches. There's the top of my chain 4. Chain 3, sorry. Okay, and you're going to grab your yarn and pull through with difficulty, as you can see, and slip stitch it. Kind of did the slip stitch all as a oneer there. You then want to chain 1, and into that big loop that we have here, we're going to work 7 trebles. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We're then going to work a treble crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. This is actually the part that you'll repeat around your work. So you'll work 4 trebles, followed by a chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're then going to slip stitch through the back into the centre of that hole where the trebles have been worked, into there, and bring it up through the gap that's next to it. So just like that with your hook. It is a bit fiddly. Grab your yarn and pull through and slip stitch. Chain 1, and then you're then going to work 7 trebles into that loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And you can see the wavy shell starting to take shape. I'm going to show you that one again. So we're just going to work 1 treble in each of the next 4 stitches. Followed by a chain 4. We then slip stitch through the back of that shell and bringing it back through. So I'll show you again, just through that hole. This is working at the back. Grab your yarn and pull through and do a slip stitch. Chain 1, and then you'll work your 7 trebles into that loop. You'll then repeat that pattern to the end of the row. Okay, I'm just going to show you how to turn the corner then. We've got our wavy shells all the way along the top. you should have your extra stitch in the corner, and you're just going to work a treble crochet into that one, just one treble crochet. You then want to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and essentially you're going to make another wavy shell. So bring it through as you've been doing, slip stitch, chain 1, grab your loop, and you're going to work 7 trebles into that loop. My loop did not want to come because I'd kind of trapped it with my slip stitch, so I'm just going to show you that again. So going from the back of your work, you want to pull it through that hole in the middle of the shell and through into the gap that's created, slip stitch and chain 1. You've then got your loop and you're working 7 stitches into that loop. Okay, and there's your 7, and that's your corner turned. You then want to work into the next available stitch, and you're going to work a treble crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then you're chaining 4 and creating the wavy shells as you've been doing previously. You'll then continue with that, the 4 trebles, chain 4, and creating your wavy shell along this side of your work. And I will see you at the end of this border section. Remember to just work the 1 treble to turn your corner, but for the rest of it is just the 4 trebles followed by your wavy stitch pattern. And I will meet you at the end to show you how to finish off. Okay, so we've reached the end of that round. You should have 1 stitch remaining. You want to work a 1 treble crochet in that stitch and then chain 4. We're then going to work our slip stitch in the way that we've been doing on our corners. I've just caught the loop a little. There we go. And then chain 1. And then we're working our 7 treble crochets into the loop as we've been doing throughout. Then we want to connect the 2 parts of this round. So what we're going to do is, with the front of our work facing us, we are going to insert our hook into the gap for the first wave. We're then going to work our hook through the gap between the trebles and then back through the loop, the gap by the loop for your last wave. Pull it all the way through after grabbing that yarn and slip stitch. You then want to chain 1, cut your yarn and pull it all the way through. You then want to sew in your ends, and that's it. 1 finished blanket. Thank you so much for joining me in my very first crochet along. I very much appreciate all the support that I've had. Sign up to my mailing list. I'll pop the link in the comments below if you want to keep up to date with any future crochet alongs, and also to be first to know when the make your own kits that I'm launching soon will be released. Other than that, thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed it and see you soon.